Hello, hi, it's Henry the computer guy, and you're welcome to our lesson number 51. And actually, this lesson is going to be marking the end of our lesson presentations for senior ones. And I would love to take this opportunity to thank you for having moved along with me. Actually, it has not been all that easy, but you managed to make this far. And in today's lesson, we are going to start with looking at how we can work with shapes in our document. And they're telling us that to add a shape, we're going to click the Insert tab, click the shape, then you have to select the shape that you want to add into your document, and then click and drag to draw that shape. After adding one or more shapes, you can add text to them, you can add bullets to them, and even you can add numbering of them. You can also change their fill, their outline, and group them if you actually want to do that, and other effects on the Format tab. So that means that you can format those shapes the way you feel you want. Let's click on our link and try to use that shape and see. So we have our document there, and we're going to insert a shape. So we come to the Insert tab, then we look for the shapes. So we have a drop down arrow there that can give us a range of the shapes down. Then you can select the type of shape that you feel you want to use. So let's select one of the shapes. For example, I'm going to select this. So after selecting it, I'm going to drag and draw. So that is the shape that we have inserted. So we can change the fill of this by either selecting on some of the fills that we have here, or you can as well use the shape fill from these colors. Let's give it yellow. Let's say it is a sun. We can even add text to them. For example, I can right click on it. I say add text. Then I can call it a sun. So I can actually say put this one in the middle. That is Control E. If I want it to go a little down, I can press enter. It goes just down like that. So we have this one as our sun. And you can as well change its size by dragging the parameters that you're seeing onto it. That is the sun. Then again, we can as well change the shape outline. For example, I want to put it to red. That outline of the shape, I can put it to that red. Or I can change the shape of of course I can even change its shape again, for example to something like an arrow, or I can take it back. Let's say undo, Control Z to go back to that. That is how we can insert a shape. And again, if you have, let's say, multiple shapes, you can as well be able to group them together. For example, let me say we come to insert, we get another shape, then let's say I need this. That is the first shape I'm having. Then I go and pick another one, insert, then look for another shape. Let's say I need this triangle. I can as well draw it somewhere, just like that. So I want to come up with this. So I've got two shapes, but whenever let's say I move one, it goes on moving. So I want this to be as a single shape. So what I will do, I will click on the first shape I inserted there. Then I will hold down my Control key or button. Then I'll also click on the second shape I've inserted. Then after that, they will be all selected. I'll right click. Then I'll come to what we call the grouping. So when I click on that, this shape is going to become as one shape. So whenever let's say I change the size, it goes on moving as at once. You see that? I can even, let's say, try to type something there by right clicking and say add text. I say Henry. Simple as that. That is how actually we can work with the shapes. So I'm going to save this one. Let me close it and we continue with our lesson. That is how we can add them there. We continue. And they're telling us that we are going to be working with the headers and the footers in a document. A header appears at the top and the footer appears at the bottom. So headers and footers are the top and bottom sections of a document. Remember, they can hold some information, for example, the title. And they're telling us that they are separate sections from the main document and are often used to hold footnotes, page numbers, titles, and other information. So the information in the header or footer is repeated in every header or footer in the document. For example, if you are at all having, let's say, 4 pages, the header will appear on all the 4 pages. The footer will appear on all the 4 pages. Let's try it out and see how we can come up with a header and a footer or insert them. So when we come to our document, we shall come to the Insert tab. Then we will look for Header or Footer section or Header and Footer section. Then we come to it. For example, I want a header. I will click on the header. They will give me a list of options. I can select from them. There are many from the list here. Then if you want the footer again, you will come and select any from these. But at all, if you don't want that, for example, if I had some information here, let's say equals rand, the run function, this I have 2 by 2. That is the information I'm having on my page. So you press run, then after you put in the values, then you press enter. It will give you that dummy text. Now I want to include the header here. So at all, if I don't want to use either this one or the footer from here, I can double click at the top of my document, or I go down, I click at the bottom of my document. It will take me to the footer. Then I want the header, I will come at the top, double click. So it takes me to the header. For example, if I want to put my phone number, I will come and say 0701 3341 334170. Then I go down at the footer. I put in, let's say, Henry the computer guy. Henry the computer guy. That is what we can do for the header and the footer. But at times you might be having pages you want to use, but all of them having different headers and different footers. We can as well try that one. For example, we have 2 pages. Let me insert another page. I click at the end, then I'll come and say insert, then blank page. I'll get the second page. So I have 2 pages now, but all of them are now having the same header and the same footer. So we have 0701, even here it is 0701. Then the footer is Henry the computer guy, then down we have Henry the computer guy. But I want to make them different. So what I'll do, I'll click where my work ends. I'll come to the page layout. Then I'll look for what we call the break. I break to the next page. Remember, they're having the same information. So now we are having 3 pages, but I want them to be 2 pages. Let me click here and press the backspace to remove one of the pages. So I remain with only two pages because they are the ones I want to use for illustration. So now let me come to the second page. Remember, this one is having 0701 334170. Then this one is having 0701 334170. I want to change this one to 0783. So what I'll do, I'll click on the second page in the header section. Double click there. So I'll come and remove the link which is saying that link to previous. That means that it's going to be independent. So I'll click on it. Are we together? So I'll click on it, then I'll come and change this number to, let's say, 0783334170. Then I'll also come to the footer section down on my page 2. Then I'll click where the footer is. It is also linked to the previous. That means that I'll deselect this. I'll put here this another name. This is Sejito Henry. So now I'll close my header footer. So let's try and see whether they are the same. So now this one is having 0701. This is having 0783. Then this is having, the footer is having Henry the computer guy, but this one is having Sejito Henry. So you can as well change or put different footers and different headers on your pages the way you feel you want. Let's continue. Let's save this one and continue with our work. So now we are continuing with our presentation, and they're telling us that here we are going to be working with the tables. So you want to insert a table into your work, we are going to actually work upon this here. And they're telling us that a table is made up of rows and columns. The tables are mainly used to organize and present information. You want to organize your work, you can draw a table there. Then you can also use tables to align numbers and create interesting page layouts. For example, you want to organize them in form of, let's say, from this side to this side, you can use the tables. So we are going to see how actually it works. We have an activity which is 4.19, and it is all about inserting a table. How can we insert a table? We are going to see this. So they are telling us that click where you are or where you want the table to be inserted. Then you're going to go to the Insert tab and select the table. Of course, you'll have to look for either, for example, 3 by 2, let's say 4 by 5, let's say 4 by 6. It depends on the number of columns and rows that you want to use. Then you're going to drag the mouse cursor over the cells and click the mouse button when the table is to the desired size. So you will look for any cells that you want to use, then click on them. So down here we have a tip. They're telling us that you do not have to set up the number of rows required when you first create a table, as Word will automatically add extra rows for you when you type. Now they're telling us that to move out of the table, press Ctrl N, or you can use the down arrow keys several times, and the table tools tabs disappear, showing that you are no longer in the table. Then you can press enter for the blank line. And that is how it will look like. For example, we'll come to insert, then we'll come to the table, look for the number of columns and rows that you actually want to include into that. We can try it and see. We have a link to our document. It takes us there. So we'll come to the Insert tab. When you come there, then you'll come to the table. Then you look for the number of rows and columns that you feel you want. And in the question, they're having 3 by 3. So that is it. And if you want to add, let's say, more of that, let's say, rows, you can click here, click enter. Then come down, click here. Then click here, add another one. So you can start adding items. For example, I have items. I have, let's say, the quantity. Then I have, let's say, the prices. You can keep on adding information to your table the way you feel you want. And at times you can as well wrap some of the information you don't want. For example, by using the eraser, you can wrap this, you can wrap this, you can wrap this, like that. Very simple. We continue. We close this and continue with our work. And they are telling us that inserting table by setting the number of rows and columns. You can just write the number of columns you want and the number of rows that you want, then the table can be drawn for you. So they are telling us that position the insertion point to where the table is required. Then you will go and click on the table button. Then insert the table that you feel you want. You'll click on Insert Table command. The Insert Table dialog box appears under the table size. Enter the number of columns that you want, the number of rows that you want in that, or in the spaces that are provided to you. Then the next step or set of option down is the autofill behavior, which will determine how the column width are defined. By default, columns width are set to so that the table fills the page horizontally with equal sized columns, as you saw in the previous example that we have done. If you require specific width of an equal size, change the fixed column width from auto to the desired sizes. That means that you go on changing them depending on actually what you want to use. Here you're going to change the autofill behavior to autofit to content. That means that whenever you put in the content, they are going to be put off it to the table. Then press enter or OK, and a very small skeleton table will appear for you, as you're going to be seeing in the diagram. For example, you want to insert the table, you'll go, then insert the table, insert the number of columns, the number of rows, then you can set the auto behavior now to either auto or you can adjust it accordingly. Let's try it and see how it works. Have a link to our document. For example, I'm here. I'll double click where I want to include the table. Then I'll come to my Insert tab. Then I'll come to Table. Then I'll look for Insert Table. Then I'll put in the number of columns. Let me increase them. Let me say I want the number of rows. Let me say those ones. Then I'll come to the auto fit behavior. And I can change. This is now fixed column width, but I can change it to a value that I actually want to include there. Are we together? Then you can even auto fit the content to the table if you want, like that. Then you can say okay. So they are going to display it that. Or if actually you're not okay with this one, you can as well use the draw table. Let me remove this and come back to our insert. We look for the table, then we can say draw table. You'll come and say draw table. For example, those of you who do draw timetable, you can use this option. It can as well help you to come up with a clear and good timetable. Then you can put in the columns the way you want to. You can put in the columns, you can put in the rows, different rows that you want. I don't know the number of columns and rows that you would need, but you can as well play with that. You can come and erase some of the information you don't want there. Let's say we want to put break here, you want to put lunch time here, then you'll be able to put in everything that you feel you want. You can even put the color of the table. You can even come and change the color of that table by using that pen. For example, I'm here. If I'm selecting this table, I can come and select the color that I want to use, for example. Then I can come and say how the borders will actually look like. The shading is also here. So there are more other options that you can select from this option. Let's close this one and continue with our lesson. And we are having printing a document. Assuming that you need to print your work or you need to print your document, you'll have to go to the print option. So they're telling us that to print a document, click the office button and select print. Then select the pages you want to print, either all pages or a range of pages. You can be, let's say, I want from 2 to 3 or other pages. 4 to 5, you can as well select the number of pages you want. Then select the number of copies you want to. Check the collect box if you are printing multiple copies of a multi-page document. We are going to see that. Then select the printer from the drop down. Let's suppose you might be having a range of printers installed on your computer. So you have to select the type of printer you want to use. And at times you can also select the pages of the sizes that you want to use. Let's try it down here and see how it works. So this is our document we want to print. Of course, we are going to go to what we call the office button, which is this one. After that, you'll come to print. When you come to print, they are going to give us options into our document. So first of all, I can check for the name of the printer. For example, I have the one which is installed. It is HP LaserJet P1005. Let me see whether I have another one. I have, let's say, HP LaserJet 1020. Now, I have many of them. For example, I have 2 of them. I have this one and I have, let's say, others. So that means that you're going to select the type of printer that you are. Let's say that you really want to use. Let's say you want to use this one or you want to use this one. You'll click on it. It will be selected. Then you're going to select the page ranges. For example, you want all pages or you want the current page that is being displayed on your screen. Or you want a range. Let's say from 2 to, let's say, to 5. That means that they are going to print pages from 2 to 5 only. Then we come to the copies. How many copies that do you want to print? You can say, I want 2 copies. Then after, you have to select the quality. Remember, if you don't select it, they're going to first of all print page 1, print page 2, up page 3, like that. Then if you select it, they will print the entire first copy, the entire second copy, like that. Then down here, at exactly, for example, the papers. How many pages do you want to appear on a single sheet? You can say, I want either 2 to 3. But the more pages you put there, or the more pages you select, the smaller it will become. Then here on the scale, at times it is always set to size A4. But you can as well select the one that you feel you want. And we can leave it on no scaling. Then after that, you'll say, okay. Then you'll be able to get a print out from your computer or from your document. So let's close this one and continue. And we are having an activity of integration. And they are telling us that your class is planning to have an end of year party scheduled for 21st November this year. It will take place in the main hall starting at 8:30 a.m. So we have a task here. They're telling us that word process a letter inviting the head teacher and the members of staff to your party. That means that you're going to use all the features we have actually talked about to come up with a good and fancy looking Word document or letter. We continue. And we have our chapter summary. Remember, this lesson brings us to the end of our lessons presentation for senior ones, and it's been, let's say, fun. So they are telling us that in this chapter you have learned about, let's say, how to load word processing application. For example, we said you can click on start, you come to all programs, come to Microsoft Office, then you look for the Microsoft Word that you want. Then we have also looked at how we can format a document. By, let's say, we talked about the page orientation, the portrait and the landscape. We talked about the margins. We talked about the sizes, the fonts, the paragraphing, and so many. We also talked about how to insert objects in our document. For example, we have talked about how to insert a table, the images, the shapes, the headers and the footers. And we have also talked about how we can print our document. That means that at this moment, you can be able to write something and print it out of a printer. And this actually brings us to the end of our lessons. Thank you for being such a good audience. It's been Henry the Computer Guy. And if you feel that this work that I've been presenting is good, you can actually help me and subscribe to my channel, and also share the link to those people who need it. So hope to see you in let's say year 2, and bye bye. I sign out.